basketball analysis with over 70 years combined experience.
The Bob, Ryan, and Jeff Goodman podcast is brought to you by Prizepicks.
Okay, folks, that time again. Bob, Ryan, Gary Tanguay here. Brought to you by Prizepicks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network. Pick more, pick less with Prizepicks. Okay, Bob, we got a lot on the docket. I have a long list from Mr. Ryan today, folks, so make sure you're ready for the long haul. This is a good pod to take on a drive, okay? Let's talk about Doncic going to the Lakers. They didn't have much of an opponent, but how weird was it to see him in a Laker uniform?
Oh yeah, it's strange, and it's been the talk of the town, if you will, the town being the universe. It's weird, but it's reality, and all the backlash we can get to later. But the fact is, there wasn't a great opponent, but we got a little taste. There was a vignette moment, okay, that is a preview of coming attractions for Laker fans and for the NBA with this partnership, okay? There was a rebound that Doncic got, and he comes up and unleashes a 70-foot two-hand chest pass to a streaking LeBron for a layup. The outlet pass is a dodo bird of basketball. The last guy that threw one, the only other guy in the league that knows how to throw one is Kevin Love, who's now about 108 years old. But anyway, it was a beautiful play. It's just, you're going to see spectacular collaborations both ways. You think LeBron isn't going to want to outdo him with a fancy pass? Or that wasn't fancy. That was efficient. That's the way basketball used to be played. And so that's a sneak preview right there. I'm telling you, you're going to see a lot of stuff with those two. And I'm counting, in general terms, I'm shifting a little bit here, on the guy who's going to make it work is going to be LeBron. I mean, LeBron is going to make it work. He's going to, I won't use the word sacrifice. He will alter, adjust his game.
Facilitate.
So, thank you. Sufficiently and appropriately to make this thing happen. And I all of a sudden, just because of that little vignette, I'm excited now to see what's going to happen.
Oh, I mean, Bob, to me, they can win the West. I think they can win the West. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win the West regular season. If I'm the Lakers, I'm JJ. While I hate it, load management, but I want these two guys ready for the playoffs. These two guys in the playoffs, they can eliminate anybody. I don't think they can beat the Celtics. I don't know if they would beat Cleveland in a 7-game series. I think they can beat OKC.
Well, they're an incomplete team, because of the center. Now we have to talk about what happened. That they thought they had an answer. I won't say the answer, but they thought they had an answer when they traded for Mark Williams, and he's a young specimen. He's a beast. I noted him in college at Duke, and I like anyway. Well, what's happened? The trade's been rescinded because after they got him, they found out that not only did he have the reported injury that was keeping him out, they found other things that were enough to disqualify him in line, and they were able to send him back, which leads to the idea of they have to bring back Dalton Connect. And I loved Kendrick Perkins on the area today. I'm not crazy about everything he says, but he was great on this one. He said, yeah, and they're going to tell him how much they love him and how much they didn't want to trade him, and they're going to make a kissy face with him, that's my word, and all that. But it's it's very awkward, but he's a rookie, so it's not like you have to worry too much. It's not like he doesn't have any clout, so don't worry about that, But anyway, they have to bring him back. I don't know what's going to happen, and so there's that. But they don't have. So now the resident big man is Jackson Hayes. That doesn't strike fear in the hearts of anybody. And then they have to drop. So they still don't have a real legitimate 5. They don't have a legitimate rim protector.
Right.
They're vulnerable there. So they're going to have to work around that as best they can. That's what they were trying to avoid, but now they can't avoid it. It's reality. So they don't have that. And I don't see that team can win the championship. But they're going to be the proverbial tough out. They're going to be, fun, and it's going to be a focal point of the playoffs is what the Lakers are going to do. There's no question about that.
Well, I want them in the finals against the Celtics, and I think the Celtics would win. But I shouldn't take anything away from OKC. They're pretty damn good too. But boy, I look at how Dallas got to the playoffs or got to the finals last year with Kyrie. You take out Kyrie and you insert LeBron, anything can happen.
Well, and by the way, Holmgren is back. I see just the number.
And I'm glad you bring that up, and I'm glad you do because that changes a lot of things.
Yeah, no, I mean, defensively right away they're different because of that. The numbers haven't been gaudy offensively yet. Not that they're going to be or not, but the fact is he's back. It's going to be a while for them to work him back in the way they want. But but they got sufficient time. Now they're going to have 20-some games. They're going to have plenty of time to work him back in. So that's another added dimension to the West.
I never thought I'd root for the Lakers, but I am. I want them in the finals because I think it would be great. I think the Celtics would win. The Celtics, I think, we could touch quickly on them. I think they've righted the ship. I think they're going to be okay. I think, right?
I never panicked. I was angry with them. We
were pissed off, right?
I mentally spanked them. Okay,
right.
I mean, I know how good they can be, and
right.
all along we knew how good they can be. In the midst of this, in and out stuff, they buried the Warriors. They the other night they beat the Knicks, and then last night they just do his business. That's a game we saw 100 times, 1,000 times over the years with this other teams. They go into their better team. They basically toy with the opponent. They tease them. They blow them away, and that's been going on since the Russell days. And 60 years now of this. So that's what that was.
They're fine. They're fine. So I like, regardless of, they had the second seed, Cleveland's the first seed, they're the second seed, whatever. Celtics, I like them in the finals. And I just love a Celtic-Laker final.
Well, I know, I'm not ready to get, well, if it happens.
I want it as a fan. I know what you're saying. I mean, Holmgren changes the game.
I get
OKC is now the favorite. I don't care about favorites. I'm Joe fan. I want Lakers-Celtics finals.
It would be overkill. Things like that worry me. It's like I never wanted to see a Red Sox-Cubs World Series. I thought it would bring out the worst in all the pros, and the Lakers. That might be the case if we ever got a Lakers-Celtic final this year with a 40-year-old LeBron and Doncic and all that. Oh my God, it would be. Meanwhile, we got all right, and we got that. Meanwhile, back at the ranch in Dallas, last night. Or whatever night it was. That was pretty interesting. The fans, they're not happy. I mean, they're making themselves very, very, very clear that they're not happy. And there was stuff outside and there was stuff inside, and people were wearing verboten shirts and bringing in verboten signs, which, by the way, aren't allowed in any NBA arena. So but to throw somebody out because when his face was put on the big screen and he said, "Fire Nico," fire Nico, and to throw a guy out for that's over the line.
Of course it is.
People wear, Fire Nico T-shirts, which you're not supposed to bring in, there's the NBA rules about stuff. Okay, but not mouthing Fire Nico, getting yourself done. That's
American.
That's James Dolan-esque, okay?
Oh, there's no doubt.
That's a Dolan. Yeah. That's out of the Dolan playbook. No, I'm sorry. And then Mark Cuban, who has no power now, he got into it with fans who were yelling at him or saying something, and he used the F word to the fan a couple of times too. Mark, so lots of actually.
Mark Cuban doesn't make that deal. No way.
Oh, he never makes. Oh my God, we know that. And then this guy who did buy in Dumont, he got into it with the fans. And meanwhile, Jason Kidd did not do a post-game press conference, which is chicken, what. And that's, come on, Jason, what's that? Come on. I mean, so what does that mean? Leaving us wondering, where does he stand in all this?
Right.
Was he, very angry about the trade? But, then I'll just say what's been said a million times, so I'll just say it one more time. If I'm the fans, I'm upset for the following reason. And over and above the fact that they don't have their man anymore, the guy that come to love, back this. But if you're going to trade him, you want to get the most. And anybody that says, "Come on," you only talk to your buddy in L.A. You're Nico Harrison. You talk to Rob Pelinka and nobody else, and then you get a guy, an injury-prone, a great player. But how many times we say it? And what happens in his first game?
Yeah, he gets hurt. He's out.
I mean, you could have bet. What was the over/under on that? And of course he was. So, Yeah, they have every right to be angry about that aspect.
Both the lower abductor strain. Yeah, so now he's going to, no one's a surprise. It's terrible for Dallas, but I think it's great for the NBA. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. Just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. All-Star Weekend is almost here, and Prize Picks is the best place to win cash while watching your favorite players during the game and the Saturday night events, like the 3-point contest. And again, you could win up 1,000 times your money on Prize Picks. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for the lineups. Speaking of the Currys, think Steph Curry will get more than 5 threes this week? Giannis for more than 35? Cook up your hot takes with your friends and win real money this basketball season when you and your crew run your game on Prize Picks. Okay, this is what we're looking for on the basketball board this week. Anthony Edwards, more than 25 points. Jason Tatum, more than 29 points. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 off. Get $50 instantly, after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. So that brings us to Larry. And you have a Larry Bird anniversary you would like to discuss.
On any list of the most memorable Larry Bird games in my experience,
right.
One of the top 5 and one of maybe the top 3 occurred on February 11th, 1981, 44 years ago as we speak. The Celtics were on a 5-game West Coast trip, first game of which they lost in overtime the night before in Seattle, 108-107. We get to LA and there's no Tiny Archibald. He's missed a game. He's got a thigh injury. He missed a game in Seattle as well. So I'm kind of writing this game off, in my head, even though, the Lakers are, except we get there and find out Magic's not going to play. So during the war, Magic's sitting out there. Larry goes up to Magic. And remember, they have a mutual respect thing. They haven't become buddies yet. That takes place later on and, with the Converse commercial. And that's a couple years down the road. But they have an enormous mutual respect. And Larry goes up to Magic and says, sit back, Irvin, and enjoy the show. Larry goes out and gets 36 points, 21 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals. Celtics win the game.
How many rebounds?
21. And they win 105-91. Larry, it's one of Larry's greatest. It's a show. Now, it was just spectacular. And Rick Roby, by the way, I got to tell our buddy Rick Roby, in 22 minutes, had 19 points on 9 for 11 shooting. People forget he could play a bit. He did bring us Dennis Johnson, so that was nice. Anyway, Rick Roby has a big game, and they win the game. Here's my favorite fallout of it that people will really love from this one. In that game, Larry attempted no threes. Okay, none of this had anything to do with a 3.
Wow.
On the 5-game road trip, Larry was 2 for 5 on threes. Following this road trip, in the final 20 games of the regular season, Larry Bird was 0 for 8 on threes.
Wow.
We get to the playoffs, and in the 17 games of the playoffs, Larry is 3 for 7 on threes.
How many games?
17.
Wow.
One of the threes is one of his handful of most famous threes. It's it's from the left corner in the final minute or minute and change of Game 6 in Houston. It's the put away shot.
Right. Nailing
it's the one that sends Johnny Most's voice into, dog whistle. It's and 3 was such a big, rare novelty then.
It was a grand slam. It was like a grand slam home run.
Right. Grand slam with 2 outs in the ninth and 3-2 count.
70-yard bomb. Yeah.
So but just once again, in his final 20 games of the season, he was 0 for 8 on threes, and in the playoffs he was 3 for 7 in 17 games. That's how the game has changed, folks. That tells you how much the game has changed.
I again, as I have left the media, I've become much more kinder and gentler. I don't tell people when I would be driving into work, I'd be thinking, okay, What am I going to be pissed off at today? What do I need to bitch about today at 6 o'clock? And now I just sit back and enjoy. And I think the fact that Larry Bird and Magic Johnson are best friends is delightful. I love it. There's something about it that I just think is awesome.
Well, it's for real too, by the way. It's not some conjecture of media. They have such enormous love and respect for each other. When Larry retired in August of 92, he called certain people. I'm proud to say I'm one of them, but he called certain people, and he called Magic to tell him that he was retiring. And they whenever they're in public together, it's evident how much they respect each other. And yeah, it is nice. It's nice to know. It's a perfect. Which brings us to.
Well, before we go there, hang on. And we'll go back to the shirt, but you just stumbled on something. This is a typical Bob Ryan thing. Oh, yeah, and he called me too. All right. So what was the phone call like?
It was, as I recall, it was basically, he had dropped hints, some serious hints to me. And I think he may have alluded to, remember what I was telling you, what I was saying in the Cleveland series, which he was dropping hints. And so I was not shocked to get that phone call that Larry was retiring it, in all the aftermath of everything, including the Olympics when, he was so incapacitated and he had to lay down on the plane and on the floor, and he only had one good game in the Olympics. That was one against Germany. Anyway, no, I was flattered naturally, we had done a book together and I considered myself to be a friendly, friendly terms with Larry. But it was very flattering to get a phone call from him that morning. Yeah, I was quite honored. Yeah.
Well, I just think Red Auerbach told you before, and Dave Cowens told you before he told Red.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
And you had him write he wrote the letter. You had to proofread the letter or the column or whatever, and then Larry called you. I mean, Bob, this is very cool stuff.
Well, I'm proud of all that. And
yeah, I mean, it's something to be said. It doesn't happen today.
It's never going to happen.
It's not going to happen now. It's too different. But I just love that Cowens went to you. It was like,
I'll tell you somebody but there's a guy out there today that I know has legitimate relationships with star people and that's Michael Wilbon. So
yeah, that's true.
Anybody's going to have anything like this happen, it would be Michael Wilbon. But so anyway, I don't want to claim exclusivity here. But in my time, I was, but I had put it, I spent those time with these people. It was a totally different world, though. I had an opportunity that does not exist today. And keep in mind as well, Michael, he's not much. He's younger than I, but not. He's up there. And he's in Social Security age. I'll put it that way. And so he's around long enough to have established to live through that era as well. When I first met Michael, we were both inhabiting that world.
Yeah, it's not the same today. I saw Mike Breen and how the players and the officials all said goodbye to Hubie Brown, and I thought it was great. I thought it was terrific when I can't remember which game official came over and they gave Hubie the game ball. And he said, I can't believe that an official is coming over to me, giving me the game ball. He said, me and Kevin Lockwood got teed up more than anybody. I loved Hubie Brown as a coach. I thought it was great when he went back to Memphis. That was such a cool story. I loved listening to him do games. And Mike Gorman used to say one of the greatest things was going out to dinner with Hubie Brown because he never stopped talking about the game.
I met him in '72 when he came to the NBA from Duke as an assistant, where he had once been assistant with Chuck Daly in the 1964 Duke Final Four team. And he was assistant coach at the Bucks at a time when there were very few assistant coaches. It was a new phenomenon. Not everybody even had one yet.
Right.
And no one had more than one. And Louis was... And
now they have 8.
And Hubie was hired by his college teammate, Larry Costello. Hubie's a graduate of Niagara University. And I got to subtract, I'll come back to that in a minute.
Larry coached the Bucks.
So I meet Hubie, and I learned more basketball and NBA basketball from Hubie than anybody. Tommy Heinsohn and Hubie would be the two guys that taught me the most about the nuances of the NBA, and we hit it off perfectly. And we've been friends now, for 50 years, literally. And I've spent social time with Hubie. I took him to an Angels game. We can talk about that one day. I got some couple of great Hubie stories. And so I'm totally unbiased. I'm totally biased. I love Hubie Brown, and I had to kind of defend him when he was coaching the Knicks because Hubie. Not everybody loved Hubie Brown. Hubie was a forthright individual to say.
He was not. He was kind of a very emotional guy.
There were rocky moments in New York. I know that, and I defended him. But anyway, and in Atlanta, I'll tell you, his best coaching jobs. Some of those teams in Atlanta weren't that good, and
right.
He coached them up to respectability when there wasn't much to work with. I can tell you that right now. But Hubie there was no filter with Hubie, and he said what he thought and what he wanted, and not every and some of the and if he didn't really respect the writer, the guy unfortunately found out about it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
There's not a lot of fondness, I don't think, in the Atlanta media toward Hubie as well. In the end, But I'm his guy. I'm a guy, and I love Hubie. But here's a typical Hubie about he's coaching the Kentucky Colonels. Okay, in 1986, 75. Excuse me. They're the and by the way, they would win the championship that year. But he's coaching the Colonels, and during the National League playoffs, the NLCS, the Reds and the Pirates, I was in Cincinnati. And it just so happened that the Colonels were playing an exhibition game in Cincinnati while we were there on a night off. And I went to the game and see Hubie and his team. And after the game, they win the game. Oh, no, I don't even know if they won the game or not. Doesn't matter. So he's being interviewed, and by the standard interview, and some young guy with a tape recorder was interviewing him and was asking very specific questions about the game. And it's an exhibition game, remember. Hubie goes, wait a minute. He says, my owner, who is an asshole, wants to win these games. I'm just trying to get my team ready for the season. You know who the owner was? John Y. Brown.
John Y. Brown. Yes, John Y. Brown. Yeah, Kentucky. Yeah.
Only Hubie would come out with that one. I can tell you that. On tape.
Oh, yeah.
There's no plausible denial possible, okay? So that was that. Another one. This is a game. I don't know. I'm the Knicks. Oh, it was the Knicks are playing. He's coaching the Knicks, and Ray Williams is on the team, his team.
Right.
And Ray Williams has got a stat sheet filled, including about 8 or 9 turnovers. And Hubie says to me, he's looking at the stat, and he's got 25 points and 10. He said, "Effing guy, look at those turnovers. He thinks it's the Rucker League."
Yeah, right.
That's my guy, Hubie. But he left his mark in this game. He's in the Hall of Fame twice. He got the Nesmith Award for broadcasting, the Kurt Gowdy Award, in addition to being voted in as a NBA contributor and coach. He's in the
now. Tommy got in too.
Tommy is in there twice. Tommy's one of the rare guys. Tommy is one of the rare guys who's a legitimate player and coach, including his old teammate Bill Sharman and Lenny Wilkins.
Tommy's in there as a coach, not as the broadcaster too.
No, he's in there as a coach.
Right.
He's one of the 3. I think is there a 4th I have to think about who's in as a coach and a player, but those are the 3 I know of: Bill Sharman, Lenny Wilkins, and Tommy Heinsohn.
It's pretty good company.
There's some coaches. But Hubie, that's a remarkable career, And
well, the thing about Hubie is he's one of those guys, and it did not matter. Tommy was the same way. The people of all ages loved Tommy. I mean, 12, 13, 14-year-old, 80-year-olds. Same thing with Hubie Brown, is that 22-year-old basketball fans, 15-year-old basketball fans, like they didn't know him as a coach. No. It didn't matter. Age was irrelevant. He had fans of every age, which is not easy to do.
I'll tell you, here's so many aspects. You ask anybody that goes back into the 70s and who has hang in college basketball, but do pure basketball people, who's the greatest clinician they've ever heard or seen at a clinic? And the answer is Hubie Brown.
Yeah.
He was legendary for his basketball clinics when he would go to 5-star camp or whatever, or anywhere. So he touched the lives of many. There's a lot of young, just all over America. There are high school coaches and college coaches who were influenced by Hubie Brown, and that people don't know, but it's all true. He came to Boston once. I invited him. To come ABCD.
Right. Yeah.
Well, I've had an association with them for 50 years now, and they used to have lectures, and I invited Hubie to come and give one of their lectures, and he was supposed to only go and do a half hour, and he was going to go back to New York. He was with the Knicks. He comes and gives this lecture, and it's spellbinding. I mean, it was absolutely spellbinding, and he stayed an hour and a half instead of they still talk about it. Hubie Brown's incredible. He's a tremendous lecturer. But he starts off by saying, remember, he's lecturing to people from all mostly, I would say, underprivileged, people from.
Right, I understand. Yeah.
So he kind of gets a connection right away, and telling him, my father never owned a car.
Right.
And then he went in, which is all true. We didn't make this up. He grew up in Jersey in a very much working class family, and he got him right away with my father never owned a car, and right away he had him. But it was a spellbinding lecture. The idea that he still has, if he's not maybe throwing 98 on the black, but he's throwing a good 94 or 5 at age 91. That telecast, that was a good telecast.
You know why he's retiring?
Here's a health reason. In general, he's 91, and I think travel. I don't think he was interested in.
That's the tough part.
Yeah, that gets to them. He had a very rough year. He lost his wife and a son. His son Brandon, that people in New York would know as a Nick color man and coach this summer. So he's going through a hard time there. But he's just he's a remarkable person.
Switching sports or touching on another sport.
Oh, one more thing I got.
Oh yeah.
I forget. I learned something last week and I hadn't thought about it. And this an aside. Hubie Brown, I'd mentioned Larry Costello.
Right.
Here's a question. Here's a trivia question. All right, I'll just go. Frank Layden was another teammate of theirs.
Oh, wow.
So 3 guys on the 1952-53 Niagara University basketball team became NBA coaches. And they were all in the league at the same time. Hubie coached against, and Larry were head coaches concurrently, and right. Frank was Hubie's assistant at the time.
Okay.
And then Frank went on to coach after, But so all 3 on the 1952-53 Niagara team produced 3 NBA coaches.
That's amazing.
So anyway, that's fascinating. Okay, I'm sorry.
And all very good coaches, by the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, very good coaches. So you have an interesting topic here regarding Josh Allen. I'm going to let you set it up. It's Russell and Wilt for the MVP race, and also the first team All-Star tally. And you're talking about Josh Allen and how the All-Pro voting went. And he's the MVP, but
yeah. People are making, they're quite fascinated with the idea that Josh Allen is the new MVP, but he was not first team All-Pro. He was second team behind Lamar Jackson. But and I said, well, you know what? There's another sport in which people can relate to this. Bill Russell was an MVP 5 times. 58, 61, 62, 63, and 65. In the first 3 of those 5 MVP years, he was second team All-League. 2, Wilt Chamberlain, who was an MVP 4 times, and each time was the first team All-Pro.
Right.
He was the MVP in 60, and then 66, 67, and 68. So that's all. It just happened before. Russell, out of his 3 of his 5 MVPs, he was second team All-League. But it kind of tells you the way people, regarded the statistical contribution of Wilt versus the all-around.
Right. Because Russ wasn't scoring like Wilt. I mean, Wilt put up big offensive numbers.
And they're 142 games. They played 142 times, by the way, and not including exhibition.
Wow.
How about that? That's a rivalry, folks. By the way, Larry and Magic played against each other in 31 times. Wilt and Russell played 142, not counting exhibitions, and the exhibitions were proliferating then. Well, remember, folks, when they started, it was an 8-team league.
Right. So you had more games against each other.
When Wilt came into the league Russell came into the league in 56, Wilt came in 59, was still an 8-team league, or maybe it was about to go to 9, and then now it's 32. So,
right.
Or 30, whatever the hell. I always get mixed up who's got 30, who's got 32.
I know, but Russ has the rings.
Russ has the rings, and Russ has yeah. So, but they played 140. Wilt almost outscored him double. But guess who won most of the game?
Yeah, I mean, that wasn't Russell's thing. I mean, that doesn't surprise me, actually.
Anyway, just so you know, folks, Josh Allen is in excellent company with this second team.
Well, I think it's a great debate, because there were Lamar Jackson people that felt, he should have been the MVP. However, I think the argument is that, Josh Allen carried the Bills. I mean, he really carried the Bills. He really did. I was disappointed. I was hoping he'd get I wanted to see him to get to the Super Bowl. But
Jackson had Derrick Henry. Which,
yeah.
You might argue there, okay. I would have flipped the mental coin. I mean, to me, I would have been a brutally hard vote. That is really and truly.
It's a tough one. No, it's a tough one. So, but it's a great take, Bob. It's a great take. Curry family update. You have some numbers for us.
Well, yes. I love this. As we speak, as of the 10th of February, 2025, Steph, big brother, is career field goal percentage overall is 40.471. Seth, younger brother, his career field goal percentage overall is 0.471. They're dead even.
That's
now, in the 3, Steph, big brother, career is 0.424. Seth, younger brother, is 0.432. 0.08 of a point better as of today.
How many more threes does Steph have than?
Oh, I have to look that up.
Yeah, I was just thinking about it.
I know. Oh, yeah. But
it's cool. I get it.
On his 9th team,
right.
Steph is going to die a career warrior. We hope. I mean, the way it's going, he certainly will. I just think I love keeping an eye on this stuff. I just do. It's great. People, just for the benefit, people know Seth's having a pretty good career too. That's for sure.
And as you have pointed out always, Seth Curry, let's see.
By the way, Steph had 38 in his career, his season high just last night. He's not too bad at age 36.
No, he just needs players. He just needs players. I mean, that's the thing. Oh, yeah. Seth has 5,297 career points. And Steph has about 5 times that. So,
oh, yeah.
But the numbers are
interesting. He's a great auxiliary player. He's always coveted, but nobody's afraid to give him up. That's the lot of, but he's having a nice life, having a nice living, and but I just think he shouldn't be forgotten, Seth.
Well, Bob is looking out for him. I don't know if you have any more comments regarding Anthony Davis is hurt again. Any comments on for him in Dallas? We've talked about how obviously LA won this trade.
Well, I mean, if it weren't for the big if, but the big if is we're living through it again. He's hurt.
Right.
So they trade for the guy. He's 31 years old. He's got a totally well documented history of injury, and this brings us back to okay, you get him, but get the LA number one. Get something. Get LeBron's grandchild. Get something. But something. And they don't have him now, and they're not going to have. I mean, it's not going to make them a champion or anything like that.
Right.
That's what's got to really infuriate people. That's all. And then it's just
It just does. I still think there had to have been something else involved in this deal.
We're right in speculating. We're right in wondering if there isn't something.
We are right. I agree.
Because it's just too screwy. It's wrong. Something else wouldn't be surprised to find out that there's some other ulterior motive that they had, or some other reason that they felt they wanted to trade Doncic. I mean, I don't want to think anything bad. I don't know, but what? I don't know. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
And Embiid now is out again in the
Embiid, which is, I mean, he came into the league missing the first two. Now, I would remind people, he came into the league not injured, incapacitated. He couldn't play. And so this is not a shock either. Philadelphia has had, and the tease. Oh my God! If you're a Sixer fan, there was a game. There's these to say they get Paul George, and of course, fine, and Mac. They get those guys. Finally, get them together. They put on a show or two, and now the show's being closed down off because no Embiid. It's a shame. He's a really fascinating player. I mean, when he's out there. But this is their lot, so they're not going to be the issue. The team. One more closing thought on the East, though, is that all of a sudden Milwaukee has a pulse. But guess who didn't play on the Sunday's game? Giannis is hurt. He has an injury history too. But if they're together, they're going to be a good playoff team. I got to say something. I don't know. This is as long as I'm talking about Milwaukee. A guy that is fast, and Hubie was going off about him a little bit. Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis is one of the best subs in this league. Bobby Portis is I've had my eye on him for a long time. I mean, and he's a guy I just want to say. I just want to give him a little salute. I wouldn't mind having him on my team. Hubie was raving all about Kuzma, by the way, the other day.
Really?
Raving about Kuzma as an offensive threat. So now they've got multiple offensive threats. Yeah, Milwaukee might. Very definitely be pretty formidable in the playoffs.
Before I let you go, I have to ask about the Super Bowl, which I did not see a blowout coming. I picked the Eagles. I was with my University of Maine alums, my old boys. We gathered about 20 of us at one of my fraternity brothers' homes, and I thought Philadelphia would win. I did not see that coming. So as a Patriot fan, because I'm going to say you're a fan now, was there anything about Brady, still being the GOAT, if you will, because Kansas City didn't win 3 straight?
No, I wasn't worried about that. Even if he gets, so what? He's still got 7. Nobody's going to.
I'm with you.
Catch that. It's like, we know no one's catching Russell. We know we had Brett that one.
Right.
But I would be very surprised if in my lifetime someone matches what Brady.
Well, here's another thing. About leaving the media full time. I like Patrick Mahomes. I like him. I like the team. I like Andy Reid. I like him. I mean, Kelsey's just kind of a caricature.
Good question. When I would be asked, I'd say, I'll go with the Eagles. I like the defense, and I would have taken the under, which was over-under was 48. I would have taken the under, and I was, so what happened was stunning. Without trying to be excessively hyperbolic, I know it's the best. That defensive performance, I think, may have been the greatest one in the history of the Super Bowl. That defensive line.
I mean, Mahomes couldn't do anything.
What the Giants did to the Patriots in 2008, in the undefeated year. The Giants totally, wrecked.
Oh yeah.
And this was very similar. An extraordinary performance by the.
Yeah, defense. I mean, maybe the Bears with the Patriots, right?
Bears and Patriots.
But you know what? Here's the thing. That game was supposed to go like that. Right? Yeah. I mean, come on. I love Groves. I love those guys, but everybody knew. I mean, the Patriots didn't have a snowball's chance in hell.
Nothing. I always have to give them that. They did lead 3-0. Then Bob Windsor got hurt. I always say, gee, if Windsor hadn't gotten hurt.
That was it, Bob.
But anyway, the performance the Eagles had, because when you can only rush 4 and only have to rush 4, then the secondary, there were so many times I was saying to watching with the people I was watching the game with, hey, he's had plenty of time. He can't find anybody open. Right. So double-edged sword. Either they were getting him in his face and burying him. How about that one sequence? Sack, interception. There's one that's going to get out of history, folks. All right. Okay. but he couldn't find anybody to throw to when they weren't getting to him right away. So that's a masterful defensive performance by them. Absolutely.
I agree. Bob, Ryan, Gary Tanguay, brought to you by Prizepicks, the exclusive daily fantasy partner of the CLNS Media Network. Pick more, pick less with Prizepicks.